It has been far too long. Daggerheart. Daggerheart. Daggerheart, come and me want to go home. Come, Mr. Mercerman, tell me about the campaign for Daggerheart. Come and me want to go home. It's been a minute since we jumped on the Critical Role grenade, but pretty much the only thing going on in the tabletop role-playing game news that isn't related to the Monster Manual is the latest episode of Critical Role, and oh my gosh, the fans are upset. It is Monday, is the 20th day of January. It is about 8:30 in the morning. It is 42 degrees and sunny. It's Inauguration Day. More importantly, it's Martin Luther King's Civil Rights Day thingy. And apparently, first off, the fans were upset because Critical Role was delayed for a week or two. Because, I don't know, they had a reason to not be at home or in the studio. Something happened in Calabasas that was, I guess, far more important than filming an episode of Critical Role. I can't imagine what in the last 2-3 weeks that would have happened here in California that would have made the Critical Role, guys not be able to go into the studio. It's not like there was a major disaster or anything, or their homes might have burned down. Shame on you. So Critical Role got back to normal, rolling towards the end. Final battle with Perdasos and the gods. The final battle that has taken almost a year to resolve. But finally, the 15th, 16th level characters are rolling towards the final of the final, where we finally get to take a drink. Every time I say final, I'm drinking water. The final result of this year-long battle between bellshells, the mightynein, voxmachina, Perdasos the God Eater, and the gods of Critical Role / Tal'Dorei. And oh my God, the fans are upset. The fans are upset because they're accusing Mercer of railroading. And they're saying that the ending doesn't really feel like an ending. It feels rushed, the ending that has taken a year. Now, I want you to take a moment to embrace the irony of the statement that the fans feel Mercer railroaded the latest episode towards a predetermined ending. These are the same fans who have been telling me for years how stupid I am for saying that Critical Role is scripted, even though we've seen that it's scripted, and Mercer has pretty much admitted it's scripted. But I'm not going to go over that because people come at me. People threaten me. They insult me. They get so upset if I dare say anything negative about Critical Role. And let's face it, I have said some pretty negative things about Critical Role. Best, worst thing ever to happen to the hobby. But you guys crossed the line when you started threatening Laura Bailey's kid. So I figure the gloves are off when it comes to the Critical Role fan base. So after years of getting up in arms over anybody even suggesting the possibility that Critical Role, a edited show for television / YouTube's, is in any way, shape, or form scripted, and it's not fake, it's scripted. It's scripted the same way pro wrestling or American Pickers or the Cardassians is scripted. We still don't know the actual outcome because dice, but so they say no, it's never been scripted, and it's proof in so many episodes that they couldn't be scripted because there's so many times when they're just going blah blah blah. To which I would respond, just because the pro wrestling the outcome of a pro wrestling event is scripted, you still really don't know what's going to happen once that bell rings, or if you're so whatever. Now they're accusing Mercer of railroading. Mercer, by the way, Critical Role isn't scripted. How dare you say that, OGGM? Go bum myself. But we're upset because Mercer railroaded the episode towards a predetermined ending, and we feel let down. The 15th, 16th level characters are finally going up against the God Eater and sort of smacking him around. Shouldn't the God Eater be a little tougher? Anybody who's ever run a high-level group of adventurers versus anything in the Monster Manual DM's Guide should know that around 5th level, your typical 5e character can take on a god. And if there's 4 or 8 of them, oh, dude, it doesn't matter. The god's dead in 3 rounds. Remember that infamous fight I ran with a bunch of 9th level characters versus the avatar of Jubilex? They killed Jubilex in a round and a half. By the end of the midway through the 2nd round, Jubilex was dead. When I just did my fight with the dragon, they cakewalked through that dragon. I mean, the dragon only even got close to winning because of the breath weapon. And even then, the dragon got taken out by a magic missile. So yeah, no, I'm sorry. I do not feel like, oh, it's scripted because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 15th, 16th level characters were able to take on Perdassos after they'd spent an entire year weakening Perdassos. But they're upset because it feels railroaded and scripted because the characters did character stuff. The players pulled off some player shenanigans and they're like, oh no, that shouldn't have happened. It's scripted. There's no way that character could have done that. Why is that character helping that other character? They've never really shown any concern for that character before. It's scripted. I don't know, because they've been traveling together since first level. So even if they've never really been close, they still have shared 15 levels worth of adventure. So yeah, sure. If my 15th level cohort looks like they might be in trouble, I can spare a free action to add the plus 1d6 without being railroaded and lambasted because, oh no, you've never really shown any connection to that character before, so it's railroading. And something happened with Sam's character and it's railroading, and something happened with Marissa's character and they're railroading. But there's 2 things that have come out of this that are my 2 favorite things, which is why it's newsworthy, other than, of course, the irony of the Critical Role fans accusing Mercer of railroading, the same Critical Role fans who have for years said he doesn't railroad and it's not scripted. 2 things have come out of that. First off, the final, take a drink every time I say final, resolution of the year-long will they, won't they is pretty much set. The gods of Tal'Dorei have been handed their walking papers. They either give up their immortality or go far enough away, basically succeeding in Perdassos' goal. There's still going to be a final smackdown between the gods and the mightynein or the bellshells or voxmachina and Perdassos. So there's still a 3-way match coming up. But it looks like, for all intents and purposes, by the time Campaign 3 finally rolls to a close, the gods, i.e. any connection to Wizards of the Coast, Dungeons and Dragons, will be gone. And Campaign 4 will start with either a much more unbelievably different system of magic and gods and look at the world, or no gods whatsoever, which is strange because Mercer said the playtest campaign for Daggerheart was a Dark Souls-like world where the gods were either very, very distant or gone. And it was sort of this nightmarish Dark Souls, mudcore, low magic world. And now it looks like Campaign 4 with no gods, or the gods very far away, or perhaps new gods. Maybe the Bell's Hell becomes the new gods. Sounds a lot like Matt Mercer's Daggerheart playtest. And I don't know, didn't somebody a year ago predict that the whole goal of Campaign 3 was to kill off the gods / kill off any connection between Campaign 4 and Wizards of the Coast? Somebody said that. I'm pretty sure when they first announced what Mercer was doing, I said, this is what he's doing. And everybody said, no, it's not what he's doing. And I was like, no, I think that's what he's doing. Well, guys, he did it. The guys have did it. Now, that couldn't have been scripted, right? It couldn't have been a year ago he suggested something was going to happen, and then it happened. And going forward, Campaign 4, everything we know about Critical Role Xandria will be wrong, because it'll be completely restarted as the results of this. Weird that somebody predicted that a year ago. Weird. But the second and more important thing is this. When they converted Ashley's character from 2014 D&D in the D&D Beyond thing, because I don't know why they don't have this on a piece of paper, to the 2025 D&D thing on D&D Beyond, because I don't know why Ashley doesn't have this written down on a piece of paper. The changes were so drastic that when Ashley tried to cast a spell, it took them 10 minutes to figure out the changes between the original version and the new version and how it would play out. It took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people who have been playing Dungeons and Dragons together for years, including somebody who helped work on the 2024-2025 DM's guide, 10 minutes with a computer program to figure out the differences between the spell in 2014 Dungeons and Dragons and the spell in 2025 Dungeons and Dragons, because on D&D Beyond, it was so drastically different that it took them 10 minutes to figure it out. Now, I will say, I mean, come on, we're talking about D&D Beyond, where it took 20 minutes for somebody to figure out how to add plus 1d6 to a magic item when I was playing the 5e campaign 2 years ago, and that kid was using D&D Beyond and everybody else was using paper. So I will say, yes, okay, come on, it's D&D Beyond. So really, it does seem to have a problem thinking outside the very limited box where you can't add plus 1d6, which again seems to me to be a reason to use paper. Use pencil. Do you know how long it takes me to write down plus 1d6 on my character record sheet? And the time it took me to say that, I wrote down plus 1d6 on my character record sheet. That's how long it takes, as opposed to 20 minutes to look it up to figure out how to do it in D&D Beyond. So I will say in the defense that part of that is the fault of D&D Beyond and the faulty programming and the inability for the program to compensate for the changes. So we'll scrub off 2 or 3 minutes simply because it's D&D Beyond, and we know it can't handle simple things like how do I add plus 1. That said, with D&D Beyond, with access to the new player's handbook and the old player's handbook, between 8 people, including one of whom helped write the DM's G and has been writing D&D stuff forever and a day, 8 minutes to figure out the difference between a spell from 2014 to today seems to me to prove that D&D 2024 is not backwards compatible, because if it was, that program would not have had any problem, and Ashley would have been able to cast her spell lickety-split without wasting 10 minutes going through 2 different players' handbooks, 7 different people arguing with a computer program to figure out how the spell worked. Now, for years, since they announced that it was backwards compatible, yours truly and several other people said, no, it's not backwards compatible. And when we saw proof of the differences, we were like, it's not backwards compatible. It's a brand new edition. It is 6th edition. Just accept it. Move on. No, it's backwards compatible. No, it's not. It's backwards compatible. No, it's not. It's not. Yes, it is. Shut up, OGGM. You don't know what you're talking about. The OSI doesn't know what I was talking about. You're just it's not backwards compatible if it takes Critical Role 10 minutes to figure out the changes. So that's the big news. That's the big news. Critical Role fans being Critical Role fans. Critical Role proving in 10 minutes what it took me 2 years to get you guys to go, it's not backwards. It's fine that it's not backwards compatible. Just accept it. It's a new edition. Everybody was fine with 2nd. Everybody was fine with 3rd. Everybody was grudgingly fine with 3.5. Everybody was fine with 4th. Everybody was fine with Pathfinder. We're fine when it's a new edition. It's a new edition. I have to make a new character. That's fine. But no. So thanks, Critical Role. Now, moving on to other news, and I'm sure there is some. I don't know what, but I'm sure there is. let's head on over to EN World to see if there's anything else going on. I'm sure a lot of people are going to give me shit for this. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about, you're retard, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, the OSR is heretical, vicious nonsense, blah, blah, spewing. So is there anything going on that's not D&D related? Monster Manual, Monster Manual, Monster Manual, Monster Manual, Monster Manual, Monster Manual, Monster Manual. Diamond Comics. We talked about this last week. Diamond Comics filing bankruptcy and selling off Alliance. We're still not sure what the outcome of that will be, but we're predicting it's not going to be great. Diamond has said that they will continue to fulfill all the orders for as long as they can while they work through the steps of the bankruptcy and selling off the various parts in order to pay off the debt or to work through the debt, because they have a lot of debt. And when you look at the list of the money they owe, it's ridiculous. It's like just so unbelievably much money that it enters the realm and just what the fuck, just you look at it and you're like, how did it get this bad? We're not talking like, oh, we're $1,000 in debt, we're $10,000 in debt, we're in $100,000 in debt. No, they owe millions of dollars to different people. It's not just one person too. It's, you look at the list and there's like 20 different companies on the list, all of whom they owe hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars. How do you end up owing 5 different guys over $1 million? They owe Hasbro $9 million. How do you not notice that? How do you allow that to go that far? Did you think something was going to change? Well, we're in debt. What do? I don't know. Go deeper in debt? Go to Vegas and gamble it away? So, yeah, I'm sure there'll be an investigation. I'm sure parts of it will be sold off, which is bad news, which is bad news for the employees, which is bad news for every mom and pop brick and mortar comic book role-playing game, Funko Pop, 90% of the stores in the Pacific View Mall out there. Anybody who gets anything that's even a lick, split, jump connected to nerddom, 90% of that comes through Alliance and comes through Diamond Comics. From your Pogs to your Funko Pops, to your comic books, to your role-playing games, to your miniatures, to your magic cards, to your board games, to your collectible card games, to anything. If it's somehow in any way, shape, or form geek-related, there is a huge chance that it's sent to your store through Diamond. So that goes away. So please, over the next year, be nice to your mom and pop comic book store, role-playing game store, Funko Pop store, toy store, action figure store, collectible card game store, whatever. If you've got one and you can support them, you know, by buying one dice, one figure, a comic book every now and then, please do, because it's going to be really, really tough for them to provide you with any level of service with them so unsure about where the next shipment of stuff is coming from, or is there a next shipment of stuff coming from? I mean, what's going to happen when Free Comic Book Day rolls around in just a few weeks, months? You know, it's already spring, guys. I mean, con season is a hop, skip, and a jump away. And con season, Comic Book Con, depends heavily on Diamond and making sure that I will have the stuff that I need to display at my booth at Comic Book Con when Comic Book Con starts. Will I have it? Will I get it from Diamond in time to put it in the back of my truck and drive out to San Diego or New York or wherever if I'm a guy who does that? I'm not speaking me specifically, because I'm not going to Comic Book Con and I can't afford it. And why would I go? I have nothing to sell. I don't have enough crap. But, it affects me as much as it affects Hasbro. So, yeah, this is huge. This is scary. So let's just be nice. And, yeah, that's it. That's it. Maybe I wasted too much time talking about the Critical Role thing, but I just find it unbelievably hilarious that after all these years of the fans getting upset at people claiming that Mercer scripted, now they're claiming that Mercer railroaded them and it's scripted. Oh, that was marauding. It was a scripted event. It had to happen that way. There was no way she would have done that. There's nothing in the game that says you can do that, because God forbid players find a way to do something that the game says you can't do, or that there's no rule for. There's no rule for you putting that bucket over your head and running headfirst into that thing. So I'm just gonna make shit up and have you roll with disadvantage or whatever. Yeah. I know people are going to go, you don't know what you're talking about. You're a moron. You're a retard. There's the OSR being hypocritical and judgmental again. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm going to say the same thing I'm saying now. Oh, for years you said it wasn't scripted, and now you're saying it's railroaded? Weird. Anyways, I'm the OGGM. If you appreciate me blabbing about this crap, let me know. If you ever want to hear me talk about it ever again, let me know. Remember, it's still your channel. I'm here for you guys. You tell me what you want to see, what you want to hear, what you want to talk about. Otherwise, I'll just keep singing silly songs because, yeah.
Roll the dice and ride the wave. Quest and dragons, the news we crave. Under neon lights we take a stand. Knights and wizards across the land.